Hi, this is Jenny from myenergyshift.com, and I'm here to make another plant-based, oil-free meal. This is the last eggplant from my garden this year, and I have been making this really good kind of Italian eggplant is what I'll call it. And so that's what I'm going to make today. It can be a little labor-intensive. There's a way you can make it not so labor-intensive, but I'm going to do the labor-intensive part. So let's get started. So what I'm going to end up doing is baking my eggplant, making it nice and crispy, and then I'm going to put a tomato sauce over it. Now this is tomatoes from my garden, so this is truly a garden meal. All I did here was I took my tomatoes, cut them up, washed them, cut them up, put them in my Ninja, and then I blended it up as liquid as I could, poured it through a sieve, a very fine sieve, got out the rest of the seeds and the skin that didn't blend up. And then I boiled that for as long as it took to make a nice thick sauce. And so all this is tomato, absolutely nothing else in it. I'm going to add some onions and garlic and some spice a little bit, but really wonderful homegrown tomato sauce. You can certainly use a canned spaghetti sauce, which I will have to do in the winter, but for now I got fresh tomatoes, that's what I'm going to use. Okay, the first thing I did was peeled and cut up into thin slices. You don't have to peel it, but I find that it really makes it's a little tough. The skin is a little tough, so I prefer to peel it. I have this much left over, so it's really going to make 2 meals. One unfortunate thing about this dish is you can't kind of heat it up later. It's not very good in the oven. Heat it up later. So my next step is to put salt on the eggplant and let it drain. That's going to help take the bitter taste away. So I'm just going to drain the salt, flip it over, put it on the other side, and put it in a colander and let it drain. Take about 15 minutes to do that. Alright, so I'm going to take some salt. Of course, use some good Himalayan pink salt or sea salt, and just going to sprinkle that generously on the eggplants. Don't worry, you want to avoid salt. We are going to rinse that off at the end, so I'm going to flip them over. Sprinkle on some more salt. And that's going to help take some of the bitterness away. Again, you don't have to do this, but it's recommended if you have had eggplant and you don't like the bitter taste. Try this method, it's going to help it a lot. So here you can see my eggplant just draining in the sieve again for about 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do next is rinse off the eggplant, and then I'm going to put it on a towel and cover it up and press it down to dry. It needs to squeeze out as much water as possible for about 10 or 15 minutes. So I'm going to rinse the eggplants and rinse off that water. Just set it on the towel to dry. Yeah, and rinsing off any bitterness that comes out. I'm going to lift it up, put on a cookie sheet, and then add some weight to that and let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes. Alright, so I've cut up my onion while my eggplant is drying. Cut up my onion, I'm going to saute it in a saucepan with some vegetable broth instead of oil and get that nice and soft before I add my spaghetti sauce and start cooking that together. Okay, so my eggplant is drying, my onions are sauteing, and I want to turn my oven on. You want it to be a hot oven. I will say, when I first found a recipe to do this, it recommended that you fry them and then put them in the oven and bake them to keep them crisp. Eggplant sucks up so much oil. When I made it, I'm like, okay, this is way, way, way too much oil. So I'm like, I've got to change this recipe. So I totally eliminated the frying part. I put it in the oven, in a nice hot oven, and I flip it 2 or 3 times, and it is plenty crisp for me, and it pretty much tasted like the kind that I fried, but so much more healthy. So that's what I put that oven on to about 400 degrees, so it's nice and hot by the time you get ready to put your eggplant in. Alright, you can see my onion has been sizzling in the veggie broth, and I'm about ready to add my sauce. Again, my sauce, only tomatoes are in that sauce. So it's going to be a very nice, pure, delicious, no preservative sauce. Alright, so I've got my tomato sauce in, and I'm going to add a little bit of garlic. I'm bad in that I don't use fresh garlic, but I'm not perfect. Let's see. I like garlic, so I'm going to add a lot of that. I'm going to add some Italian seasoning. Yeah, as you can see, I'm not measuring anything. I'm just going to eyeball it. I do like a sweet sauce, so I'm going to add some not fresh, but some organic sugar, and then of course some salt. And I'm just going to stir that, let it cook a little bit, simmer and taste it and see if it's good. If it's not, I'll just tweak it, and that's all I do for the sauce. Alright, so my eggplant has been drying for about 10 or 15 minutes, and you can see I put the weights down to help soak it up. So the next step is to assemble the eggplant to get ready to bake. Alright, so I got my stuff ready to go. Like I said, it was a little labor intensive and it drains a few dishes, but it is so delicious. So I just got regular flour. This is panko breadcrumbs. I added a little bit of Italian seasoning to that, and almond milk. So the process is flour, almond milk, panko. So let's get started on that process. As at times like these, I wish I had a camera that shone down straight on what I was doing, but I don't, so this is what we do. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is dip it in the flour, which seems kind of weird, but that's what you do. Then you put it in the milk, and then you press it in the breadcrumbs, and you want to make sure you get breadcrumbs to fully, and that's what it ends up looking like when you're done, and then it's ready to bake. So I'm going to keep going with the rest of those. Again, it's flour, milk, almond milk of course, and panko breadcrumbs. Alright, here they are, ready to go in the oven. Again, a hot 400-degree oven. Keep an eye on it. I'm going to probably bake them for probably 30 to 45 minutes. It's going to take a little while to get them crisp. And if you can, put it on the top of your oven. And I haven't had to use a broiler before, but if I want to get them brown, and you want them crisp. That's the idea. And the panko helps do that too. So let's put them in the oven. Alright, time has come to eat. So here they are. I did put them under the broiler just for a few minutes because I was in a little bit of a hurry. I need to eat and get going. But you can see they've gotten brown. And so here's the process of putting them together. Got the eggplant on the plate. Of course, my sauce has been heating, so all I'm going to do is scoop on a little sauce above each eggplant. If you want to get fancy, you could stack them on top of each other, I guess. Find it a little harder to cut that way. And then I have a little bit of vegan mozzarella cheese. This is purely optional, and I don't like to use a ton, but I like to use a little bit. I can get the bag open. There we go. Alright, so just sprinkle a little bit of that on. And I am ready for lunch. So let's give it a try. Alright, one thing about this, when you end up taking the skins off, it cuts with your fork pretty easily. Crunchy. Delicious. Sauce is wonderful. The eggplant is crisp, not the least bit bitter. Giving it a thumbs up. I hope you decide to try this recipe. I've never been a big eggplant fan, but with the eggplant bacon and this dish, I'm really beginning to like eggplant a lot more than I ever did. So again, this is Jenny from myenergyshift.com. I hope you try some of my delicious, nutritious, oil-free, vegan, plant-based recipes. If you do, drop me a note, subscribe to my video, and namaste.